Hey folks, we're going to talk about the Articles of Confederation today and all the issues we had with them and why we need to replace them with the Constitution. So the first thing you need to know is that the Articles of Confederation was the first government of the United States of America. Now, the Second Continental Congress was the group that created this, which is a little confusing because they were running our government. But this is the actual written document that gives legitimacy to that group and tells it what it can and cannot do. All right. You also need to know what a confederation is to understand the Articles of Confederation. So a confederation or confederacy is a loose agreement between groups. So they'll help each other out, but they're not too close. That's why when you look at the Declaration of Independence, you see that the United is lowercase and it's really tiny compared to everything else, because they weren't completely united yet like we are today. So it's kind of a loose agreement of the states of America. Okay, the duties of the national government under the Articles of Confederation are listed on your screen. The first one is to conduct foreign affairs. So if a war breaks out, it is this national government that fights the war. They're the ones that lead the military, and at the end, they're the ones who make peace. And remember, a war does not end until you sign a treaty. So they take care of both of those. They also maintain an army. There are different ways you could maintain an army. We didn't have a big standing army because we didn't like that England had a large standing army. So it's more like militias from different states gathering together and working together. But the leadership of it comes from the national government. They also have the power to borrow, lend, or print money. So if we needed money from other countries, they would be in charge of that. If we wanted to lend money to the different states, they can do that, or other countries. And they also had the power to print money. And their money was called Continentals, which you learned from last unit that the Continentals were not very good. Lots of issues with that. We just kept printing more, and then it led to inflation, and things got out of control. And it's going to be just as bad after the War II. They also have the power to create laws. States could also create laws, but the federal government had laws it could create. And we'll see the problem with these laws in a little bit here. They also could regulate trade with Native Americans. Native Americans are a little interesting when it comes to this because they're not considered another country, but they're not considered to be under the jurisdiction of the states either. They kind of fall outside of those. So they're listed separately in the articles as a separate entity, but not quite a country. So that shows you that they're not thought as first-class citizens, more of a second class. The national government was also in charge of creating common weights and measures, or weights and standards. That means that when we say what is a pound, New Jersey can't have one thing of a pound, and then New York have something else weigh a pound, and then Rhode Island saying that we're actually not going to use a pound, we're going to use a kilogram instead. So it's the national government that says, in the United States, this is what a pound is, this is what a mile is, this is what an acre is, and they're the ones that set those things. The final major thing they have is they have the power to create a postal service. This is a big deal because if each state had its own service, if you wanted to send something from one state to another, your service would take it to the border to the next state, and they would have to hand it off to that mail service, who would have to take it and hand it off to the next one to go multiple states. It was just a lot simpler if the national government was in charge of this.